Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome. It's Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff. He's Chad. Going to be with you for the next hour or so talking Texas football, Texas Longhorn football portal. What the hell's happening today? Did they get a quarterback? Does he block? Can he play left guard? These are all things that are normal in 2026 when you're a Texas football fan. Give us a solid. Hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel. Get notifications. Just push a bunch of buttons and jump into the Specs chat. Join us on this little escapade that we'll be making for the next hour-ish or so here on Orange Bloods Live. Mr. Hastings, it's funny because I was kind of joking around earlier today. I thought it might be boring because I asked a source last night about the time frame that we're on with regards to whether or not something is or isn't going to happen on the offensive line front. And the indication that I got was that we were probably more on a 48-hour timeline than we were a today timeline. I asked the question last night. So 24 hours presumably would be Thursday, 48 hours would be Friday. And so I wasn't really expecting a lot of action today. And then boom, Texas gets a portal edition. And I think it's worth like discussing and mentioning. And yet the thing is, it doesn't detract from the fact that offensive line conversation is not going away. It can't go away. Everybody is waiting. And we can even get into, and we will, the discussion of could Texas go after Damon Wilson, arguably the number one defensive player. It's still in the portal, but a first-team All-American, a guy that has a little bit of Cam Coleman on the defensive side of the ball, although I think that's going a bit far. I do think Texas is involved there, very sneaky and quietly. So what do we do? Do we just tell them about this quarterback, get it out of the way, move on to the offensive line, whisper a little bit of Damon Wilson? Have I piqued your curiosity enough with Damon Wilson that you're like, oh, catch start there? Or do we just circle back around? The elephant in the room is the offensive line, and we can't pretend that that's not a thing that everybody's hypersensitive and focused on.
I think you set up the right line for it, especially since we did put the quarterback reference in the thumbnail of the show. So let's just start there. We can clear the deck. Somebody in the chat made a reference to, wow, I bet KJ Lacey and Dia Bell are confused by this. And I thought, no, not at all. Tell everybody about the latest Matthew Caldwell.
Well, I think one of the things to keep in mind is that the quarterback room, think about this. Remember that picture a few years ago that all the Texas quarterbacks took with their shirts off? Remember? Yep. There was Malik Murphy, and there was Quinn Ewers, and then there was Arch Manning, and then there were some dudes you had no idea who they even were. You were like, why are these dudes flexing, and who are they? Turns out they were walk-ons. Well, as things currently stand, it's unclear whether or not any of those guys will be on the roster as active members of the 2026 football team. So Texas had 3 in the quarterback room when they normally have about 6. They usually carry multiple non-scholarship quarterbacks, and it's part of what goes into the room. So they did need to add depth. They did. I look at MJ Morris, a kid that they're pulling out of Coastal Carolina, who at the end of the year, to be fair, is Coastal Carolina's third-string quarterback. No one's winning the Natty,
and this will be his 4th school, if I'm counting correctly.
He's been to a few.
Yeah,
but the good parts you can't ignore. Just as look, the bad parts are, guys, he just finished his 4th year as a college player, and he's third-string at Coastal Carolina. The good news is, as a true freshman, he did play at NC State. He has won games against Clemson and Miami as a starting quarterback at this level, which I think he's the replacement for Matthew Caldwell.
Right. Yeah.
The thing that you would have said about Matthew Caldwell last year was, well, he has a little bit of starting experience. And when they played Iowa, he didn't really embarrass himself. He kind of looked like a real quarterback out there. Whatever it is that we either want to say or don't want to say about MJ Morris, he has played the likes of teams in the playoffs, including one that just played for a national championship. He started against those teams. He's beaten those teams. And look, I don't remember any of the games, Don't ask me I'm not sitting here and telling you he was the reason. I'm telling you that as a starting quarterback for a couple of teams, he beat some other good teams. Clemson among them, probably a Clemson team that would have started Cade Klubnik. So he's not incapable. I think that they've got a good Matthew Caldwell facsimile. KJ Lacey's the backup. This guy is the Diabell red shirt insurance plan, where if something happens, you don't have to burn the red shirt because they care about these things. Arch red shirted, Malik red shirted, Trey Owens red shirted, KJ Lacey is they like to red shirt these guys. Mm-hmm. So they want a red shirt Diabell. I don't want to argue with anybody who's like, but Diabell might be so good that he doesn't even stay 5 years. Don't tell me. I am not the one making the call. Steve Sarkisian wants these guys to have red shirts. That's what they're going to do. So this guy gives them a little bit of a number 3 quarterback insurance policy. If anything happens, this guy has played in a packed stadium before, but he's also not getting in the way of anybody's reps. If they want Diabell to take all the reps with the 3s, this dude ain't getting in the way. This guy has one last shot. He might not even be on a scholarship team if the right school doesn't come across. Just like with Matthew Caldwell a year ago. Texas has rolled around, right team, right fit. He gets to roll with a preseason top 5 team. He might find himself in a position like Matthew Caldwell, or maybe he plays a couple of snaps before the season is over with. But I don't think it's a bad thing at all if you're Texas. And I think the thing that Texas fans have to get out of their heads, because, Chad, this is their 86th player on the roster. Every time a guy commits, a new guy shows up, it doesn't mean that you now have an 87th best player. I mean, it does, I suppose, but that guy's not showing up as worst player available, right? What you've done is you've tried to improve somewhere between 40 and 60, that you're making these margins better where maybe guys who you would otherwise count on that aren't ready. Think about it like this. If you'd had an MJ Morris at guard last year and you didn't have to play Nick Brooks, are you playing in the SEC championship game? Do you make the playoffs? It is these thin margins where you don't need great players. Sometimes you just need guys who are not going to be terrible. And I think they look at MJ Morris and they go, look, he's played some. If we need him, he's a little bit like Matthew Caldwell. God help us if we ever need that guy to play more than 4 quarters consecutively. But in a pinch, if we needed a guy to go in and play the 4th quarter of a game, could this dude do it without falling all over himself? The answer would appear to be yes.
All right, so that covers the quarterback grabbed in the portal discussion. The new Matthew Caldwell, if you will. Caldwell was Troy, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, and he had
bounced around. That kind of.
But he certainly
just like Morris wasn't able to hold down the starting job at Troy the year that Texas took him, and he had started at Troy, but he wasn't the starter at Troy.
Right. There you go. Caldwell was at Troy. Morris, obviously coastal here. He was at Maryland and NC State, I think, before that. All right. So we've covered the quarterback part. I changed my mind. Let's reverse things. We'll go to offensive line because I think that's where the F up reference in the thumbnail is going to come from. But Damon Wilson, just give us a little Damon Wilson feel, because it's a pretty damn good defensive player. You can't have enough of those guys in theory. So does Texas have a shot at that?
Yeah. I don't know how to handicap this one other than to say I've asked about Damon Wilson in the past and kind of got it's not really our bag, not really our thing. If you'll remember, right before Rasheem Biles popped up, I was like, Texas interested in Damon Wilson at all? Because they do want an edge. They're saying they want an edge. He's the best edge. Why wouldn't they be involved with Damon Wilson? Well, I don't think they've been super involved, but I don't think the market for Damon Wilson has quite taken off like he had hoped it would. I think if he makes a decision today, it's probably Miami. But I've heard that Texas has played a little footsie. I don't think they're drawing dead. I asked somebody last night, like, how do you even handicap that? And this person's response was that it probably had a lot to do with whatever Miami did. I don't quite know how to take that, other than it does look like Miami is the team to beat. However, man, can I just say the quiet part out loud, Chad? And I hope none of my sources are watching the show right now.
Sure.
Man, if they don't get one of these offensive linemen that they need, I mean, I've done this in Vegas before where you just do an effort bet. And I can see them feeling like we've got money. We've wanted to have a nice meal. By God, we said we wanted Kobe beef.
We're going to spend it.
If we got to go into a completely different store and have a completely different meal to get us the Kobe beef that we want, we're going to spend it. It would fill a need that they've been communicating to the public that they feel like they have. They want to sign an edge. The profile of edges that they've looked after have mostly been younger guys, right? If we think back to, they went after the Florida guy who was just finishing up his freshman season. They looked after the kid at Oklahoma State that ends up going to Kansas State, but had just finished his freshman season. This is a dude that's ready to play 1 year and then head on off to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But tell you what, the worst way is to try to win a national championship than to pair a guy like that with Colin Simmons.
Sure.
And say, let defenses figure it out. Miami's the favorite. But I saw an update on On3 earlier today. And Pete Nakos, who's done an excellent job reporting over at On3 all year long with regards to the portal, said that it's Miami. And then there were a couple of unnamed schools. He just said he's in communication with other schools. It mentioned Texas Tech. My interpretation, what I was told last night, I think Texas is ahead of Texas Tech in the pecking order for Wilson. In the article that Nakos wrote, and let me see if I even still have it up on my computer. I don't want to misrepresent exactly how it was written, but I'm pretty sure it mentions Miami, kind of mentions Texas Tech, and then says that there are a group of other schools. Well, I did not go out of my way to ask about Damon Wilson last night. That came up kind of out of the blue. So I think Texas is involved. How much so? I don't know, really. Other than to say, I don't think his recruitment has hit the ridiculous heights that would price a Texas out. If that makes sense?
Sure.
You know, it's one of those things where it's like, are you guys interested in Damon Wilson? And it might be not for $4 million a year like his agent is talking about.
Yeah.
I think we saw this with Jordan Seaton as well. I think in the end, as much of a NFL prospect as he is, there really were only so many schools that had the money to turn that into a bidding war. And one of them, Texas, didn't get involved. And I think that kid probably made half the amount of money that he thought he was because he didn't have the Huckleberry to dance with Doc. And, you know, so I wonder where we are with Damon Wilson. Is it he'll go to Miami and it might be at a modest cost? Or does Texas decide, you know what? Jesus, we've run out of players. There's one more out there that we could describe as an impact guy. It's just not the one we're looking for, but screw it. Let's go get him. Hey, man, I wouldn't be mad at it. I don't know that there's a team in the country that's so good that they could turn away a guy that was a first-team All-American edge player and one of the best guys in the SEC this year at that position. You know, when you think about the SEC this year, it was Simmons, it was the kid at A&M, and it was kind of this guy. And they were arguably the three best guys. So the opportunity to have a guy that shows up and is one of the top 5 or 6 best players on your team when you're expected to compete for a national championship, I think is a good idea. It does not change the fact, though, Chad, that we're probably T-minus 36 hours until we kind of one way or the other know about some finality on the offensive line, unless They got somebody out there that wants to go sue the NCAA to change the rules.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get to Yeah, we got a good chat to get us to the offensive line discussion. We will do that. If you guys want to shoot us a super chat, feel free. Before we get into that O-line discussion, I am going to show you some drinks, and we're going to start with Hayes City Store. I showed this the other day on the modcast, and Anwar Richardson wanted some tahini on the drinks. None of these do have it, but the team at Hayes City Store has been notified that Anwar wants to see pictures of drinks with tahini, so they're taking pictures of drinks with tahini. They're going to send them to me. Trust me, though, if you love your tahini, they'll put it on the drinks. The Frozen 4 is here. You can do the frozen margarita flights, all kinds of great drinks, and the food that we talk about all the time. Maybe you want some of that pizza. Maybe you want the incredible chicken fried steak we've talked about. Maybe you want one of those great pork chops we've talked about. Get on out there. Obviously, you'll want to check your weather coming up pretty quick. They do have heaters out there if it's cold, but you know what too cold is for you. So figure all that out and then make your plans to get to Hayes City Store out in Driftwood. Tell them you heard about it here on Orange Bloods Live. Anwar, we'll get you the pictures of tahini as soon as we can. I promise.
Hey, before we get to the offensive line, I have been dying to tell you this for like 2 hours.
Okay.
So I think I may have mentioned this on maybe yesterday's show, but somebody basically challenged me to do a Nick Cage top 10.
Right. Lucky you.
The daunting thing about doing a Nick Cage top 10 is that you have to do a Nick Cage top 10 that, like, look, if I, you know me, right? If I wanted to coast my way to a Nick Cage top 10, I'm Con Airing it my way through. I've gone in 60 seconds.
We forgot Con Air yesterday. Put down the bunny? Are you kidding? Come on.
I can close my eyes in 10 Nicolas Cage movies. But today I've decided, or this week, going to do a Nick Cage top 10. You got to be able to speak to the Nick Cage experience.
Mm-hmm. Here we go.
Oh, God. If there is a more batshit crazy movie on his resume than Mandy, I need you guys to let me know what it is. I'm down. Give it to me.
Mandy.
Give it to me.
No.
Great. Let me tell you how crazy the movie is, Chad. I'm about 30 minutes in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, is Amazon playing the right movie?
You were double checking
3 times. I was like,
wait. Info.
Where is Nicolas Cage?
Info.
What the fuck is going on? What is this? It does not, from a weirdness in like it anyway. So if there's no, someone says 8mm, and you guys know 8mm is the Fox and the Hound compared to Mandy.
How about Wild at Heart? You got that one on your list?
That, you know what? It's on my to-do list.
I've never seen it.
It will be one of, but that's an earlier movie. The thing about Mandy is I think I saw that was 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So it falls into the category of most of the stuff that he's just been releasing. I'll tell you another one that I watched that was actually pretty good. And I hate to say it, am I going to emerge as one of these guys that is like some of these Nicolas Cage crazy movies? Because he did a movie called Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans.
That's got to be a good movie. I mean, that's got to be good. That's got to be like the way Varsity Blues is good.
Yes!
That's got to be good.
Yes.
That's good out loud. Like Face Off. We talked about Face Off yesterday. Face Off ain't trying to be anything other than Face Off. That's the best part of a good Nicolas Cage movie. It's like a good Keanu Reeves movie. They're the same guy to me. If it's a good version of their movies, it just does what it does. Don't ask for too much. Don't expect too much. Just watch.
No, I'm telling you, Mandy has completely wrecked my brain. I cannot come back from that. I wanted to share it with everybody because sometimes things shouldn't be seen alone. Wow. Okay, now look, I'm ready to move on.
Okay.
Honestly, it's not the worst metaphor in the world when we start talking about the Texas offensive line situation.
Fair enough. All right. So we got that. Also, one more chance. I see your $5 super chat on linebackers. We'll get that, but we have promised to talk offensive line. So why don't we do this? And Catch, we'll start with the one I tried to talk into existence earlier in the week. Burn Orange Phantom wants to know any chance of Bray even entering the portal. That would be Bray Lynch, right guard for the champs, Indiana, from Westlake, for God's sakes. He does have another year if he needs it. Catch, have you heard anything along those lines?
I think it is something to keep an eye on.
Okay.
I have not heard, there seemed to be a lot more discussion about that before the national championship game, which I thought was odd. It was a little bit like the Adonai Mitchell stuff, where it's like, guys, he's got a game to play, and it matters, and he matters. He's starting in that game. The fallout of that was that Adonai came out of the national championship game, and I want to say within 48 hours was in the portal, and then I don't think it was much longer after that. He was at Texas. If I think something has to happen by this weekend, or you're talking about a summer arrival. Now, if that's your biggest problem, as opposed to we don't have guys, then if you're Texas, beggars can't be choosy. And you might look at that guy and say he's a 4th or 5th year player. If there's anybody who can just show up, learn the offense, play, we'll take a 23-year-old guy, man, as opposed to something less than that. It's not optimal. So thing is, guys have until 5 days after. I hate to keep doing this because it's wearing my ass out, Chad. This math where we're like, right. Well, what's 5 days from the last time they played? And you're like, okay, well then that would be Saturday. And you're like, well, does that change anything if it's the weekend? And then technically after 2 business days. And so does that mean next Wednesday is when we can still be doing the same crap? And maybe. So I got to be honest, the MJ Morris thing was a breath of fresh air today because it was like,
yeah.
If nothing else, for 10 minutes, we can talk about Matthew Caldwell's replacement. Look, I'm still being told the expectation is that Texas will finish this class off with a starting level offensive lineman, guard. But, man, the stakes are high. And I wrote about this over at orangebloods.com today in my Truth or Lies. The QR code is in the top left over there. Scan it, join the site, check it out. I promise there's good stuff. Sign up for $1 a day and see what's what. But I can bring it up now. I kind of bring it up in the article. This time last week, there was a sense that one of the best offensive linemen in the country, a guy that had rated, well, I don't want to put a number on it, so just to be safe, and I don't know who the rest of let's say he was top 10 at his position in run blocking. He was a good player. They thought that guy might enter the portal. He's exactly the kind of guy that if he did enter the portal, you would think everybody would have been first in line to get. An all-American, all-conference level interior offensive lineman hits the market. I think Texas felt very well informed of, okay, well, that's one we just need to keep an eye on. I think they felt like, let's not go get some in the bush or one in the hand. They know what was on the market, and they know what they could have had. They didn't want to take what they know what they could have had in hopes of Moby Dick. Mm-hmm. And look, in the end, they may still get their guy. If this kid from Indiana enters the portal and they get him, then they've improved their starting offensive line from a year ago, and we can quibble over whether or not they've got enough depth. But I think we would look at the first 5 and go, they pretty damn good. But if they don't, they've not only not covered their entire starting offensive line, but they've also not left themselves with enough numbers at a position where Steve Sarkisian was publicly adamant that it was a major need and they knew it and like they weren't going to mess around, and offensive line portal and no other position was even mentioned with regards to during the season when the portal was mentioned. About the only thing that he said was offensive line. And we're at a point now where they've got one guy who's a starter and a couple of guys that should get nowhere near the field really as starters yet. So there's got to be more. And if there's not, I said this on Monday's show, Chad. It was my big opinion on the overreaction Monday show. They don't get this guy, it's going to completely overshadow everything else they've done, even if they go out and get Damon Wilson. And look, I will at some point also raise my hand and go, Jesus, maybe you can be so good in the other 21 starting spots on some level that you can get by with crap at your worst starters, your left guard. I don't mean to call anybody who would potentially play their crap, but a substandard, no doubt about it, shouldn't be on the field kind of a guy. Mm-hmm. If he's surrounded by, think about that Florida game last year. And it's like, well, what if the rest of that offensive line is better and Arch is better and the receivers are better and the running backs are better? Do you win that game? And I can't say unequivocally that they can't. I can't say, well, so you're telling me they go to Gainesville last year and Arch is better than he was. Okay, well, he was okay in that game. So you're telling me he was better. You're telling me the running backs are better. You're telling me the receivers are better. You start telling me enough things are other better, and it does turn into the Gilbert Godfrey thing in Beverly Hills Cop 2. Yeah. There's a ticket in this hand. Yeah. And it does feel like on some level, Texas knows that this ticket's got to be paid and that, but what if there was something in this hand that would make you forget about the thing? And it doesn't mean this thing goes away forever.
Right. You're still gonna need some good defense to figure that game out, but it is still a game you only lost by 8.
I just wonder, like there's just a part of me now that, I'm not like, first of all, you know what? I bet my sources don't like that they're just even in this position. So that this is not where they want to be. This is not where they plan to be. Nobody wants to ask about why are you guys in this position? And everybody understands the consequences of, oh crap, if you don't get it done, you just don't get it done. And what the implications of that are potentially damning 9 months out from the start, 8 months out from the start of the season.
Let me get a clarification from you. When we put on the thumbnail about did UT F up, would an F up for you be just not having the left guard thing figured out? Or is it that plus the depth issue?
It's just the offensive line position still being the offensive line position.
Okay.
There got to be a point in the last couple of years where the defensive tackle spot was the biggest worry on the team. And they just went and got so many guys in the portal. At times we even asked, geez, is this enough? Are you sure? It's 5. Did you get enough? And at the end of the year, there have been guys that they've thrown back. Lavon Johnson just went home to Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Was at Maryland, came to Texas, didn't play at all, went back to Maryland. We saw the kid, Trill Carter, transfers in, plays at Texas, wasn't getting the run ultimately that he wanted, got his ass out. He went to Auburn, if I'm not mistaken. They don't all work out. Sometimes they do. But the thing that they did at the defensive tackle position in multiple years was whatever happens, we ain't going to run out of bodies. They have not done that with the offensive line. It's something that they could have done. It was very much the A&M approach to rebuilding the offensive line needs that it had. Everybody knew individually when they took every one of those guys in that A&M offensive line class, a little bit of stink on that. Like, he's got experience. A little bit like the Arkansas defensive tackle that Texas took, where it's like, well, there's some stuff there, but wasn't nobody trying to call him the world's best player when Arkansas was getting their heads kicked in and week out. And there's a little bit of that going on where these guys, individually had some problems, but they're a year older. It's a fresh start. You don't need them to necessarily be miracle workers if they're just adequate and make Cole Hudson levels of improvement. Maybe you got enough to give yourself a chance at your team to otherwise do all the things that it wants to do. In Texas, the F-up part is they potentially, as things stand right now, that problem is not fixed. Now, could it be fixed by the end of the day? Yep. Could it be fixed by the weekend? Absolutely. Could we be here, though, in a week from today and it not be fixed and we're still talking about, holy crap, they didn't get that fixed? Yeah, man, that feels like that's on the table, too, after the concerning thing is they thought they had the Michigan Cats, and they didn't.
Plural?
Well, yeah, they thought they were going to get the tackle and the guard.
Okay.
Now, Texas got a guy to replace the tackle part. We hyper-focused on the guard part because that hasn't been replaced.
Yeah.
Although Cody Carpentier and I have quibbled amongst each other about, would you rather have Sprague, would you rather have Siani?
Yeah. Plus, I think there's extra impact because the left guard thing extends all the way back to last year's Ohio State game.
No, I'm just letting you know that's when we talk about the Michigan guys, they did replace one of those guys, so he's able to disappear in the Back to the Future picture without us freaking out that we just lost a brother. Sorry. Maybe too much Nick Cage movie for me today.
Earth Angel. Earth Angel. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But it just – and the other thing is I think we know that they could have had Jordan Seaton too. There are layers to this. It looks like Texas pulled out of the Jordan Seaton thing through its own choosing. Now, would they have gotten Siani if they had pulled in Jordan Seaton? Could you have convinced Siani to come in and be a guard when that's not necessarily? I don't know. But there were other things that they could have done, and yet here we are. And look, I really am not attacking anybody or saying anybody got it wrong because I don't know that that's what's going to happen. What did I report 10 minutes ago? My sources are still telling me there's an expectation that they're going to get ultimately the guy that they need to get. Okay.
All right.
But there have been expectations for the last couple of weeks that there were going to be other guys as well, and those didn't materialize. We all have to have somehow learn from those lessons and go, hey, on the expectation chart so far, how is Texas doing on the offensive lineman expected to enter the portal chart? It's like, well, they're Siani for everything else. Like they got one, him. But everybody else up until now really hasn't pulled their part of the bargain. And I've been told, like, look, some of this is just there's what's happening on the agent level isn't happening all the way down to the player level. And that's part of the risk. That's part of what happens where a school is told by a representative that it's the Barry and Brown thing, right? Hey, my guy's on the cusp of going in. Your guy's on the cusp of going in. Cool. Well, we'll be sitting around waiting to see if that happens. And then you make decisions partly on, well, do we think that guy's going to be better than him? Because we've been told that guy's definitely coming in. And it's a song and dance they played before. This is the one that's had the most risk, though. And I think everybody knows they won't give up. They'll keep trying to find guys in the portal, just like they did at the quarterback position today. They'll look the JUCO route. But it'll be a whole lot of hoping and a whole lot of praying and not a whole lot of, like, fixing.
We got a couple super chats we will get to. We might squeeze buy or sell in. Real quick, let me shout out the two big sponsors you see at the top of the screen. I'm going to blow your mind twice. First off, Texas Card House gets you hijack poker. Online poker, yes, all across the great state of Texas. Get on there. Blow your mind today with a $20 bonus. Get to playing. Scan the code. Put it on whatever device you want and get to going. Thanks to Texas Card House for sponsoring us every day at 12. Here's the other mind-blowing moment, Catch. Look carefully when I play the spec spot. Apparently, the roller skate thing goes all the way back to the beginning. The old guy in black and white is wearing skates. Here we go.
Shot specs. 60 years in the Lone Star State. A one-stop shop so you're never late. Price is so low that you want to know
Which way to Specs?
Come on, let's go.
Specs, fine spirits and finer foods. World-class service, that's all about you. Shop Specs!
It's how we do. A huge selection since 62.
Shop Specs!
Low priced, amazing. Here's to you.
Shop.
Cheers to savings.
So if we all needed another reason to love Specs, apparently they were roller skating around liquor stores in the 60s. So there you go. I'm so excited. Didn't even know it was in their history, but there you have it.
Mind. There's like an old person's night at a local rink somewhere, and those guys are just cutting a rug out there.
Are they delivering the alcohol to people in skates? It's just.
By the way,
awesome.
nobody ever looks like more of a show off than roller skate guy.
Oh yeah.
Because most of us are just out there trying not to fall down.
Oh, dude.
And then you got the guy that's out there spinning and pointing to the chicks and like, come on. It's like, settle down, Rod Stewart on rolling skates. Settle down.
To this day, I wasn't even cool to ask his name, but I can see the guy in Waxahachie that you're talking about. There was a guy that would go to the Waxahachie skating rink, and he owned the joint when he walked out there, or when he skated out there. He was incredible. There's a
guy like that at every country dance club as well.
Exactly.
And when he walks out, he just selects the women that he's dancing with, not because he's got like some sexual aura and like he's going to go home with them.
No.
It's like
he's going to show them off.
He's going to show you what dancing
he's going to show
wherever is all about. And then they do.
Exactly. All right, Catch, here's one on O-line, and then we'll work back to linebackers. $5 super chat from Alan. So we let guys walk for guys that might enter the portal. That's got to be a fireable offense. I've seen that phrase a lot recently, maybe a little extreme.
I mean, honestly, these are questions that no head coach in the history of college football has really been asked about, and at some point they're going to start. I don't know what the answers sound like. I don't know how Steve Sark. I don't know how if Sark has and I shouldn't even use this as an example because they may cancel it if they're listening. But if they have a second signing day press conference, right? For all of the portal additions or first spring practice, whatever, the next time we get Sark.
Mm-hmm.
And if Chad's there and Chad goes, Coach, you said before the season ended that the offensive line was going to be a major priority of yours going into the portal. Coming out of the portal, it would appear that you guys lack quality starting bodies and maybe even quality depth bodies at the position. Given that was a problem a season ago, how do you reconcile with this still being a problem? Is this systematic? Is there somebody who ultimately needs to have a finger pointed at that this thing continues to be a drag on the program?
Mm-hmm.
That's a fair question.
Yeah.
I have no idea how he answers that question other than he's never been asked that question before. And the first time he gets asked that question, he almost certainly will have never expected that it was coming.
Right. And how exactly will it be asked? How will it be crafted? Will it be as long as your question was? Because if you ask it for that long, he might stop you. He might not even let you finish.
Exactly. That was more wordy than never would you be that wordy with Sark. You could just as been like, Sark, you guys didn't do anything in the offensive line last year in the portal. You said this year you were. It doesn't look like you've done enough. Whose responsibility is that? Go. I mean, it can be that short.
Yep. And he might spit right back with according to who and then take off, But
and then it's like, well, who asked that question? Because if it's Kirk might go the same people who said last year you had offensive line problems before you went into that Florida game and got manhandled.
Yeah, and he'd say according to you, Sark, because again, you said it. That's the other part I've brought up, Catch, is when he said he was going to address offensive line, to be fair, he never mentioned a number. He did not say a number. So in his mind, was it, oh, no, Siani, and then a couple guys that are sort of bodies.
Again, like he's not been asked any of this. And it's very new age to talk about team management like this with coaches.
Mm-hmm.
This is half a decade ago. This is the stuff that I did that nobody else was doing. This was my part of my shtick. It was like, let's talk about these really nerdy team like construction things. I find them really interesting. 5 years ago, I was telling people the wave of the future is who has the best general manager, who plans the best. I have people on my staff who've been like, all along the way, we're like, there's no way. Crazy talk. No way that the portal will ever replace National Signing Day. No way this, no way that. And all I know is that every year it gets closer and closer and closer to the thing that I've been predicting since the 2010s was about to happen. So I don't know, man. This one is, I will say this about Texas, Chad. I applaud going for it. They're maybe going to stub their toe pretty bad in going for it. And it's going to be real easy to sit back, and I'll do some of it. You think I'm going to get caught out here on these streets standing on the table for a failed plan? I said on Monday, I almost wrote a Brandon Harris article praising the work that they had done in the portal, and I thought, hell no. Because in a week from now, if they don't sign any more offensive linemen, people are going to take that Brandon Harris article and they're going to shove it in my face and go, what kind of propaganda was that? No way I'm getting caught up in it. I can admit that may not have worked. But what I will say is, man, I appreciate the fact that it sure does seem like they had their hands in a whole bunch of stuff, and including some stuff that I'm not even sure. Right? Like, what exactly were they doing the week of the national championship game with both teams' offensive lines distracting at all? Like, I think you couldn't have asked Texas on some level to have their hooks and claws into more good things potentially than they did. Did they get high on their own supply? Did they look, we were able to do this, we were able to do that, and we always come up with a solution that works, and we always have an answer, right? Even the year that the Isaiah Bond thing happens, they missed, except they didn't. He still went into the portal. Like, they've gotten lucky on some of the portal stuff that they've done in the past. Maybe that has coincided with them thinking, hey, it always works out. And it still might. But, you know, it's hard to do a show on the 22nd of Thursday, January 22nd. I can't tell you who any of the backups are, let alone really who the starting left guard is. And that has been a theme for more than 12 months. It has to stop. And yet here we are.
All right, just a little note here. Catch has got to be gone at the hour mark. So you got about 18 minutes to get super chats in if you want. We got two of them right now. And the first one is from Chino, $10. Catch, will we ever get to where a portal out / retention window is separated from a portal in signing window? I think this would make things easier on giving up on guys to get maybes.
I mean, they're just, the schedule is so out of whack. This isn't the way that it should be. And look, all it's going to take is for a few schools to get burned really badly and start banging the cages about how the one portal system isn't working. All it'll take is a lawsuit. Someone asked me that earlier today. We'll catch. What's to stop some kid from saying, screw the portal, I drop out of school, I'm transferring to this other school, and I'm going to play for them? It's, well, a lawsuit. And it's like, well, yeah, besides that, like, somebody has to be the first, right? And it's, well, yeah. And those things may happen as well. I think we are still in, there's still got to be an appreciation for this is landscape and terrain that we've not seen covered before. So if we get to March and some crazy dinosaurs or aliens pop out from beyond the horizon, we can't completely be surprised at the idea that some crazy stuff might happen. We said be on the lookout for that stuff. But if things remain, I don't know, whatever realm of normalcy that even looks like, then we can probably look at what Texas has done from a team building standpoint in probably a couple of days and have it pretty figured out. They're just, At some point, you run out of days where guys can get to school by next week so they can be spring enrollees. At some point, you just run out of time. And the thing that Texas, that's maybe the biggest opponent that they have. I think they feel like if the window is even an extra week, who knows what they could make happen. The deadline is expired on a lot of these milk cartons, and there's only a couple of them left. It just kind of is what it is. Like there's not a lot left on the magic trick. It's a little bit like the magician has kind of revealed that it's either here or there, but the mystery of like, might it be somewhere else is kind of gone.
Thank you for that super chat. The other one we had was a linebacker issue. $5 from One More Chance. How does Biles compare to Ant Hill in terms of impact? If Ant is a 9 out of 10, what do you think Biles is? That's a good question.
Probably like an 8.5, 8.5.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
Biles in his last game, I forget who Pittsburgh played in the bowl game. It wasn't anybody monstrous. But in that game, he was the bowl game MVP. Who was it?
East Carolina.
East Carolina. In the bowl game against East Carolina, I want to say he had 17 tackles. Just some ridiculous number where when the game was over,
Silly. Yeah.
everybody this was before he went into the portal. Everybody legitimately said, well, that's one of the best games that any linebackers played all season long anywhere. And then he went into the portal. So he's got the ability to be a big game playmaker, but he's not Anthony Hill. So, he's a level below that. But I think that it's a big up from where they would have otherwise been. I don't know that I would quite look at it as, is the jump from him down to Biles, how significant is that? As much as I would look at it as Hill's gone. You're starting at 0. What did you go up from 0? Or what are the margins between Biles and who would be the next highest guy on the totem pole that might start in his position? And I think it becomes a much greater addition than most Texas fans realize when you look at it, not in comparison to Anthony Hill, who might be the second best linebacker in the modern era of the program. Look at it in comparison who would otherwise be on the field. It gets back to that conversation we've been having about guard. Sometimes the biggest improvements are just the ones that make you the least terrible in certain spots.
Before we hit another super chat, just real quick, Catch, is Firebirds on your Nicolas Cage list? Chris Bennett says it's good. Him, Tommy Lee Jones, Sean Young, and it's filmed at Fort Hood.
I mean, look,
Firebirds?
you just talked me into that.
Doesn't that sound like a good idea?
You just talked me into that. The thing
Well
is,
done.
I'll watch what I can watch.
Job, CB.
Between
That might sneak
now-
into the top 10. Right there.
I got 72 hours.
Okay.
I'll sneak in 10 in the next 72 hours.
All right. Fair enough.
And here's who a couple of them have to be, okay, Chad?
All right.
Because I have to make it like a couple of confessions. I've never watched Leaving Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
I know it's depressing. I know he drinks a lot. I know there may be potential suicide elements of it.
Yeah. There's a moment in that movie where you feel like you need handles. You need like handles and you need to hang on to something because the rest of the movie is like, whoa.
So I got to see Leaving Las Vegas as one of those 10.
That's a great one. Yeah.
I can take Mandy officially off this list I have. Good God almighty. I don't know how I randomly selected that one, but I did.
Oh, Mandy. Is the Barry Manilow song in there? Because that
It is not, man. It is not. When this is over with, I want to just give you the synopsis of the movie. It is wild. But I owned, and I know I have seen Matchstick Men. I owned it. But I can't for the life of me remember what the hell that thing was about. So I kind of feel like I need to. It probably shouldn't make the top 10 if the first time I saw it, I can't remember it.
Yeah.
But it has been 23 years. So that could be. And not necessarily like a flaw of the movie.
Yep. Okay. All right. We got some people
That's
trying
it, though. I
to.
need to see those two. Beyond that, I'm open minded. Oh, I need to see Wild at Heart.
Got you. Okay. Two super chats just came in, and Oscar's throwing 1999 at us, so that'll go to the top. I don't think our O-line is as dire as fans are making it. Look around college football. Who's in a drastically better position at O-line? Ohio State lost 6 and hasn't replaced them at all. No team is going to have the best at every position.
Oscar, you watched this season, right? Nobody's making anything out to be dire. Everybody's making it out to be exactly what it was. The kind of thing that held Texas back and probably kept it from playing beyond the Citrus Bowl. Like at one point, the answer to Texas's problem, Oscar, to the offensive line last year was get Cole Hudson healthy so that he could be paired with Connor Robertson. That's not even good, but it's better than terrible. The problem that Texas has is the offensive line issues that it had a year ago, Oscar, didn't involve offensive line injuries. Oh, we can talk about Andre Kojo getting hurt, but the reality is he's probably the 4th tackle on the team behind Gooseby, Baker, and Chapman. And it was one of those years where both of the tackles stayed healthy, so you didn't need number 3, let alone number 4, although you could make a case that number 4 could have moved inside to guard. Who knows? We shall see. Maybe we'll learn that something along the lines of this year. They're going to need to do something. But those guard spots, those have been and remain problematic. And that was the case without injuries. What happens if, God forbid, Texas has a single injury along the offensive line? We don't play the game right now, Oscar, where we say, God, what happens if Trevor Gooseby gets hurt? Yes, what happens if Trevor Gooseby gets hurt? But you can play that game with any position on the offensive line, and it gets scary real fast. There's only one Dylan Sikorsky finger that you get to plug into the dike right now before you're like, I don't know, Andre Kojo? It's like he's 5 months removed from ACL repair. Like, they have not addressed this thing in numbers in a way where, I don't know that A&M has fixed their problem, but they've put together enough bodies that they all say they will fix it. I think just the concern right now is that by the time this weekend is over with, Texas won't have enough bodies for most people to feel like they've truly fixed what they aim to do. And look, here's the other thing, Oscar. I can't let somebody try to play the hidden ball trick on me. I've been talking to sources. I know what they've wanted. I know who they'd hoped to get. I know how sure they were going to get the Michigan guys. What we can't do is when this is over with, say, well, maybe it wasn't that big of a deal after all. Maybe because they didn't do it, they didn't really want it. Not going to let that happen, Oscar. They literally, allegedly threw more than $700,000 more dollars at that Michigan cat, and he stayed home. So don't let me convince you that there's a problem. Look at what has happened right in front of our very eyes. And, we just can't pretend that when it's all over with that it was for nothing. Well, luxury. That's what that luxury spending looks like. Okay.
All right, Catch, let's get these last 2 super chats and then we'll let you roll. $9.99 from Jason. The point of being Texas and in the portal is we should never, ever go into a season with this O-line and its depth issues. No way around that. Sark should be held accountable.
I agree. Totally agree.
Yeah. A lot of talk about flood in these discussions, Catch, but we know where it ultimately lands. That responsibility ultimately goes to Sark.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons, ironically, you want to hear one of the most ironic things in the world? I haven't even reported this. This is just me. Something I came across during the offseason.
All right.
I heard that there had been some consideration for replacing Kyle Flood. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I inquired, what was the hang-up? I wondered if it was an NFL timing thing, and it might have been. what I had heard is that there was a thought that they wouldn't be able to get a replacement in time. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
To help with portal recruiting.
Wow.
I swear. I promise.
I feel bad, Catch, because I feel like I should have a hammer within reach that I could grab and bash myself in the face with it, but I don't. Wow.
I did have somebody tell me that.
That is.
But that was back in this, that was back when
the
thought was we're going to attack this. You're going to get Jordan Seaton. You're going to do all of these grand ideas.
Yeah.
And the one thing that you couldn't do was not have an offensive line coach because then you're telling Jordan Seaton potentially, hey, trust us.
Yeah, it'll be okay. Yeah.
So you can see where 30 days ago that would have made sense. All these days later, it feels like kind of like everything else with the plans right now. Like maybe it's a little half-baked.
Yes, Sandman, you're not wrong. It's just a different kind of funny. It's a totally different kind of funny. It might be the kind of funny Catch is watching in that movie Mandy right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Mandy-ish.
Let's finish with this one, Catch, from Alan. $5. Kentucky building a better O-line than Texas with a new coach was not on my bingo card. See, it's this kind of stuff. It's these kind of things that Texas fans are watching. I don't even know if that's right, but the perception of that's what's frustrating to Texas fans.
The Texas offensive line, there's just levels of this. Because I feel like if they'd signed a starter, the thing that we would be talking about was they have no depth. And I feel like they'd signed two more guys. The thing that we would be talking about is that they have no, they have a starter and they have one piece of depth, but what happens when they need a second piece of depth? The issue really is, though, like we would be nitpicking, I think, the offensive line no matter what. That we're several layers back instead of at the, well, they've got so many players, but are any of them good stage of the discussions it's beyond ironic. It's just, it's like coming up short in a race. And then the next time you run the race, running out of gas. It's like, but last time, remember?
Yeah.
Remember what we said last time? Like, no matter what happens, we'll never run out of race. We'll never run out of gas. We may lose, but we won't run out of gas. And it does just feel like they've somehow, without a last-second rabbit up their sleeve, it does feel a little bit like they have gone back-to-back races short on gas. And, all you can do is right now, if you're a Texas fan, cross your fingers and hope that they're as good as I think they are. They think that there's more that can be done. They've not given up. But yeah, man, we can all look at the clock and do simple math and go, hey man, Catch, unless there's going to be some NCAA lawsuits, unless the best two teams in the country start potentially losing some players in the portal, 6-7, Catch, 6-7. And I get it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alan, for that one. All right, Catch, you roll. I'll pay a bill or two and close her out here. Thank you for the 6-7 at the end. You have absolutely you can't finish any better than that. You finished on a high note. I'll see you tomorrow.
I declare retirement.
It's Jeff Ketchum, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff Ketchum. He's got a meeting he's got to get to. Thank you guys for jumping in today. Okay. If you have a weird super chat for me before I wrap up, you let me know. Look at that. Somebody might. Okay, hang on. We do have a Nicolas Cage reference from Uncle Mickey. Uncle Mickey, I will get to that. I promise. Also, y'all know I love to tell you about our partners around here, the ones that help us do this, the ones that help us get it done. And real quick, let me hit you with a little AV consultations. Don't forget, if you need that setup, that big screen, new screen, better screen, the movie setup, all that stuff. Like last night, my wife and I, we watched the Matt and Ben movie, the new one, The Rip. Pretty good. I enjoyed it. And we watched it. You got to make sure you're watching it on a nice big screen. We have a pretty big screen, But if you don't, if you're on like a 20-something inch TV and you're trying to watch a big, cool Hollywood style movie, it's not going to work. This is the place that can help you out. 255-8678 or go to avconsultations.com. They've been doing it since 1988. If you're trying to get caught up with all your Nicolas Cage movies, that is a great way to do it. Uncle Mickey has an idea. Throwing us some Canadian money. Spins just the same, Uncle Mickey. We appreciate you for that. $6.99, Hoser. Cage's Sailor Ripley in Wild at Heart is his Vince Young performance in the Natty game tour de force. I've never seen it. I believe that's a Lynch, right? What's his name? David Lynch, Wild at Heart. Yeah, Wild at Heart. And Wild at Heart also has Jurassic Park. Isn't that who it is? Laura Dern. Isn't Laura Dern in Wild at Heart? Somebody verify that for me before we round out. I think that's right. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Sandman. Yep, you did. You finally just he'd had it. It's just out. He's done. It's finished. It's over. Catch has a Nicolas Cage top 10 in the 10 thoughts from the weekend this week, in case you missed that. But thank you for the super chat. Also, somebody put a note in. Our man Chris Bennett, I think, put the note in the chat earlier that it's Brian Jones's birthday today. Our birthday present to Brian is that we didn't make him come on the show this week because we're talking a bunch of portal and all that kind of stuff. And Brian's got other things to do, and this is about the time of year he kind of stops taking my texts and things like that. But he's been great enough to come on the show. So I thought I'd throw this up one more time for y'all. Go to the University Co-op, get this cool gear, Real Snow Milk. You can search that on universitycoop.com or just head over to the Co-op. Brian Jones of CBS Sports, he does not have to come on our show every week, but he's done it for the whole time of Orange Bloods Live. He did it for the 23, the 24, and now the 25 season, and we hope he'll do it again in 2026 when we get there. So thanks to Brian. Happy birthday to Brian as well today. I don't see any other super chats. So let me show you some drinks out at the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Don't forget about them out in Dripping Springs. Double check your weather and then get out there and have a tasting. Or maybe you're going to have some barbecue and one of these great cocktails. Remember, if you have your mason jar from last time, bring it out there and you'll get a discounted refill. Same thing for the martini glasses. You can take them right back to the counter for a discounted refill or keep them as a souvenir. Wednesdays through Sundays, the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. All right. I just saw a little technical thing, so maybe I should take that as a sign to wrap it up. Let me just double check the chat real quick. Thank you guys for jumping in today. Obviously still talking portal and the confusion around the offensive line for Texas. Hopefully Texas will get this figured out in the next couple of days. Come on, somebody who started at guard somewhere has got to want to wear burnt orange. We'll keep you updated, obviously, here on Orange Bloods Live, but check out that QR code. It's up there in the corner now, right near. Yeah, up there in the corner. Click on it. Like Ketch said, get signed up with Orange Bloods for $1, and you'll find out how great it is, and then you'll never leave. Check out orangebloods.com. We do appreciate that support. You guys have yourself a great Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow for a Friday show at noon. Check out all the other great content, the video section, the shorts section as well, all the other shows that hit you. Of course, the live tab will tell you what's coming up, and get those notifications so you know when shows are coming up. Y'all have a good one. Take care and get ready